Okay, welcome. My name is Jody Mitchell. I'm the Executive Director of the Bitterroot Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today is our inaugural State of the Valley address. This is our first annual. We've never done this before. The Chamber felt a strong need to host the first annual State of the Valley address because our communities are at an important moment. We are growing, we are changing, and we are facing shared challenges that don't stop at city limits. Business owners, residents, and community leaders are all asking similar questions. Where are we headed? How are decisions being made? And how do we work together to protect what makes the Bitterroot special while planning responsibly for the future? The Chamber sits at a unique intersection in our valley. We work closely with businesses, local governments, nonprofits, healthcare, and education. Because of that, we hear concerns early, we see opportunities take shape, and we understand how decisions in one community affect the entire valley. This event was created to bring clarity, transparency, and connection. It's an opportunity to hear directly from our local leaders, to understand both the challenges and the progress happening across Hamilton, Darby, and Stevensville, and the communities in between, and to create a shared baseline of information for the year ahead. Most importantly, the State of the Valley address is about collaboration. The Chamber believes that the strongest outcomes happen when communities are informed, engaged, and working together. By hosting this annual event, we hope to create a consistent space for conversation, accountability, and regional thinking, because the future of the Bitterroot is something we all share. Before we get on to today's program, I want to give a big thank you to Denise Rose, who is out there in the hallway. And we would also like to extend a sincere thank you to Kim Bishop with Your Choice Benefits. Thank you, Kim. For sponsoring today's State of the Valley address. Her generous support made it possible for this event to be free and accessible to our community, and allowed us to provide. Is it right?
Can
you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. This is great. It's like AI Jody.
Is this one better?
Yeah.
Or is it the same?
No, it's better.
No?
Okay, so I can project. Okay, we will just have everybody project. Okay. All right, where did I leave off? Okay, so thank you for the coffee and the goodies out front. We truly appreciate your commitment to supporting connection, engagement, and a strong Bitterroot Valley. I would now like to introduce to you our event sponsor, as well as a valued Chamber Board member, Kim Bishop with Your Choice Benefits. I'm like, wow. We'll just thanks everybody for coming. This is kind of exciting. When Jody actually said she wanted to do this, I'm like, yeah, I want to sponsor. I don't know who like jokes on to sponsor something, but I did because I really have a passion for business, small business, and what the Chamber does. And I think it's pretty cool that we can all get together and talk about things and trade ideas and share ideas. And you know, one of the things that I really do like is it's really expensive to join everything, right? Join this, join that, join association. And I did that a lot. And when I first started in the business many years ago, and then I was like, what's really going to help me, my business, and help the community? It's like, hey, I find a place, I find a home. So I'm Kim Bishop. I'm the owner of Your Choice Benefits. I am a Chamber Board member. I'm also a board member for the credit union as well, newly. So anyway, I'm excited about that. A couple of things I want to talk about. I'm not going to ramble on about, ooh, we're such a great benefits broker, whatever. But what I do want to talk about is there's a lot of compliance issues. I have a big thing for compliance and HR. I do have a flyer out there that has a QR code on it that links to my website. And there is several different documents on there that you might be interested in looking at. So people are asking me, like, nationally, what's going on with benefits? Well, we don't know about the subsidies. We don't know if they're going to be extended or not. Sorry, I don't have anything new to tell you there. One of the things that you should be aware of if you're a small business, and some things to talk to your benefits brokers about, even in government, they have these similar types of things. There is still a small employer tax credit available. So if you're under 25 people, and you fit the criteria, you can actually get credits from the government on your taxes for providing health benefits. So that's something you want to look at, and the QR code, it's on the flyer. Also, Society for Human Resource Management, some of you who are small businesses, can't afford an HR person, I highly, highly recommend that you look into them. We have a local chapter in Missoula. They're fabulous. They do a lot with compliance, help you out with laws and regulations. I have a compliance overview, 9 pages from the federal government. Most small businesses, there's probably about 4 pages of stuff you should be doing if you have a health benefits plan. One person on the plan, you need to do these federal guidelines, handing out all these forms, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, people are like, I don't know. I didn't know what that was about. But anyway, compliance, want to make sure you do that. Also, a couple new things happen with the government. HSAs now, if you are having an HSA and you have a direct primary care, like I know North Valley, I think it is, a clinic here in Hamilton, he does direct primary care. My naturopath does direct primary care, so it's where you like pay a fee every month or whatever. Now you're going to be able to use that to write that off through an HSA. Nice. So again, something you want to talk to your broker about as well. Also, there's a new account called the Trump account for kids, and they're going to be funding $1,000 from the federal government into that fund for your kid under 18. So you're going to want to talk to your bank, and you're going to want to talk to your advisor, like your financial advisor, because it has to be invested in certain funds and so on and so forth. But it's a tax savings for your kid. Again, on my little QR code I have a link to all of that information. So that's kind of cool, actually. GLP-1 drugs, people are asking me about weight loss drugs. Some of them are covered under health insurance, some of them are not. We're not sure if they are going to be covered. They're very expensive. But it is something that they're working on federally to make those changes. They also made a federal change for IVF. So if people are having problems having babies and you need IVF and it's not in your health plan, your companies, larger companies, especially self-funded, are going to be able to add those on as riders. But right now, some of the health insurance carriers cover that and some do not. But it was a big enough deal that the government said, we're lowering the price for IVF. We're going to make it available as a rider or something you can add on to your plan. So that was kind of a big deal, and that was just announced recently as well. So also rising costs of healthcare, if you're a small business under 50, there's not a lot you can do. It's rated with the state, and it's based on ages and zip codes. And so people are like, what can we do? What can we do? Well, one of the things is talking to your broker, whoever you're working with, and say, hey, what can you do for me? What else is out there? The Chamber of Commerce actually has a plan, an association plan, and it's a pretty good plan for United Healthcare. It's under the Big Sky Chamber, but we're allowed to sell it. Your brokers are allowed to sell it to our small businesses. So ask them, say, hey, can you check this out for me? Can you quote this? It's just another thing. If you're a member of an association, ask your association, do you guys have any sort of health plan? And sometimes it's cheaper. Small groups are tough. So be asking about that. Voluntary benefits, resources. I mean, there are just so many things available out there. And I like to tell people, rely on your health insurance brokers for those things. I mean, we are supposed to know the laws. We're supposed to know compliance. We help you out with HR things, give you access to HR websites and benefits and so forth. And not only that, but ask your vendors you're working with if they have any resources for something else that you have going on, not just benefits. But work with the people you work with. You're paying us, so find out what we're actually doing for you. So anyway, I just thought that those are really important things to talk about. Compliance alone is a big thing of mine, so I don't want people getting in a DOL audit. I have 2 clients that just went through it, and it was a nightmare. And we were able to help them as the broker. Of course, their lawyer had to get involved and so forth as well. But there are things, if you have a benefit plan and one person on the plan, there are some legal federal things that you have to do. And when I started working with most of my clients, not one client knew about it. And then boom, we get audited. So yeah, it was a bummer. But anyway, I think I've took up my little 10 minutes, so I appreciate your time. And again, thank you all for being here and for supporting the chamber. We really appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, just
just a few quick notes before we continue. There will be an opportunity to ask questions after the speakers have presented at the very end. So keep your notes to remember those questions. This is your opportunity to engage with our leadership. Also, this is being recorded, so keep that in mind when asking your questions. That's a deterrent, or to begin our city and town updates, we'll hear from the Mayor of Darby and the Darby Marshal, who will share their insights on the current state of the town and priorities for the year ahead. Please welcome Mayor Donna Reneker and Marshal.
Hi, I am the newly elected mayor to the town of Darby. I've lived in Darby, well, in the Bitterroot Valley my whole entire life, but I've lived in the town of Darby for 47 years. I got kind of involved about a year ago by being appointed to the town council, and that has progressed to running for the mayor with a little backing. So I feel honored to represent the people in my community, and I'm looking forward to working with the employees, the town council, and the community members, getting them involved for better communication in our small town of Darby. One of the projects that we're currently trying to finish up is our sewer project. Our sewer had been neglected for multiple years, and through the help of some grants, we were able to secure enough money to work on that. And probably most of you had heard that we were under a moratorium for that. Well, with the completion of this first phase and the testing results, it has progressed to the point that that moratorium has been lifted. We have some conditions that we're still obligated to meet, but in that first phase, what we've done is cleaned out our sewer lagoons, which was a major project, and then we've also put in a new lift station. And that lift station is almost to the point of being up and operable, and we've only, through that process, we were able to use the grant money that we had. And then we had to secure a loan, which did increase our sewer rates to the folks in town. But we're working through that. We're due to start the second phase, which we've secured 3 grants for. And those grants, one of them is the Montana Community Enhancement Grant. The other is the Rural Resource Grant through the DNRC, and then the CDBG grant, which is a Community Development Block Grant. So the second phase, when we get going on it, will be an ultraviolet plant, which will be the final stage, and then we will have met all the requirements that we needed to update the sewer system, which has been long neglected. For housing development in the town of Darby, we are in the final plat stages of a development on the Upper West Side near the school, which is called Darby Estates. This includes a 42-home subdivision. We have a couple of other housing developments in the planning board phase that we're working through that process with. The town planning board has worked through some ADU guidelines and regulations. That's accessory dwelling units. And then they are currently working on some guidelines for condominiums and townhouses for the town of Darby. As the new mayor, I've started to work on reviewing job descriptions. Those job descriptions had not been looked at, reviewed, or changed for some of them 24 years. So I'm working at trying to update those, keeping the employees in mind, yet bringing those up to current standards. I believe it's important to work with the community, employees, and the town council, fire department, local businesses, and local groups such as the Darby Rodeo Association, which, if you're from Darby, you know can be a big can of worms. Looking at the works of some of the committees and advisory people, we're trying to update some resolutions and ordinances that have not been addressed in many years and getting those up to current standards. My goal here is to make Darby great again. In closing, I'd like to introduce the Darby Marshal, who is going to speak to you regarding some new programs that we're considering putting together, presenting to our town council, and hopefully offering to our public.
So, my name's CJ Gibson. I've been with the Darby Police Department coming up on 4 years now. I've been the Darby Marshal for a little over 2 years of that 4 years. In my short time there, we've implemented a program in the school called Adopt a Cop. It's where I go in every other week with the second grade class, and I spend about 20-30 minutes with them. We go over safety tips, I read to them, just interact with the kids a lot more, try to make them feel more comfortable with seeing us in the schools. And then we've also, for the last 2 years, done the Skills USA program, where I teach criminal justice and the criminal investigation side of it, and they compete at state and federal levels for Skills USA. I'm proud to say that our CSI team, the last 2 years, has won state and went to Atlanta, Georgia for nationals the last 2 years in a row. Hopefully, as hard as the kids are working, we'll get to do it again this year. So state's in April, so hopefully we'll get to do it again. I started off with 3 kids on the Skills USA team, and now I'm up to 10. What my plan is for the future for this next year is to implement those programs even further. So I want to start a Junior Explorer program at the police department and bring high school kids in to come in, ride with us, work beside us, learn more about law enforcement, and actually get to experience parts of our job and what we do. I brought this up to the high school last week and got immediate positive impact that there were several kids that wanted to join in. So hopefully within the next few months, we'll see that program starting to come to light. Another program I'm looking at starting, our Darby Police Department is a 2 full-time police officer position department, and that only allows us to cover the town on the streets full-time 48% of the time. So I'm looking to start a small reserve program where we can get more people in that want to assist with the police department. They'll have to go through a minimum of, I think it's 132 hours of reserve training. But once they've been through the training and the program is up and fully running, they will be out riding with us. They'll be in full uniform just like I am, and be able to do the job right beside us. That will greatly help our department, help cover more and have more people out on the streets a little bit more at the time. So I think that's about all I have for now.
Thank you guys for being here. Okay. While each community has its own identity, our challenges and opportunities are often shared across city boundaries. Next, we'll hear from the Mayor of Hamilton, as well as Hamilton's Chief of Police, for an update on what's happening in their community and how it fits into the broader picture of the Bitterroot Valley. Please welcome Mayor Dominic Fahrenkopf and Police Chief Steve Sneedley.
Thanks, Julie. Well, like Henry VIII said to his 6 wives, I won't keep you long. That's why I said. I did not write that joke. Ronald Reagan wrote that joke. So my name is Dominic Fahrenkopf. I am the mayor of the city of Hamilton. I was born in Hamilton in 1978. 78's out there. And graduated Stevensville High School. I was in the United States Coast Guard for 4 years and came back. And when I married my high school sweetheart, Hannah, 21 years ago, I've been in Hamilton ever since. I've served as the mayor for 8 years. And so I just was reelected to my third 4-year term. So this is what you get. So what I decided to do was kind of educate the crowd about what the city of Hamilton does and doesn't do. We are a municipal government, and so we provide services to the city. And I'm going to go through all 9 departments that the city has. And I'm going to be talking for 10 minutes, so I need some chapstick. 2 nights ago, we were laying in bed and Hannah asked me for the chapstick. I actually handed her a glue stick. She hasn't spoken to me since. So we'll start with the city clerk's office. It is run by our city clerk, Rebecca Scoggins, and her deputy clerk, Cynthia Fleming. Rebecca is in her 8th month as the city clerk, and she's taken the reins of the position and is doing a great job. Rebecca Scoggins does human resources, new hires, insurance, both for employees and claims made against the city. She runs the Tuesday night council meetings and does a variety of work for the mayor and the city staff. Cynthia Fleming has been the deputy clerk for over a decade and runs a Facebook page of the city. She makes all of our posters and flyers. She does the back of the water bill, and she spearheads the Halloween and Christmas decorating contests held by the city. Cynthia manages all special event permits and rents the community room at City Hall. She is the Tuesday night committee of the whole meeting. She leads those. She also does a wonderful job. The city finance department is run by Craig Shepard. He is responsible for the budget and making sure that all the claims are paid by the city. We had a successful budget year and have made an effort to begin growing our general fund through fiscal responsibility and the prioritization of projects. Craig also oversees utility billing, which manages water and sewer bills, and the accounting clerk's office, which runs payroll and helps prepare the biweekly claims. The city planning department is run by Matthew Gorbach. Matthew is in the middle of a zoning update for the city of Hamilton that's taken years to prepare. It actually hasn't been updated since 2013. The city council approved the first reading of the new zoning last week, and it will be before the council again next week. Matthew also does sign permits and assists with code enforcement of local ordinances, and he has 1 employee to assist him. Amy Fox is the Parks and Urban Forestry Director. She manages 10 parks. We have American Legion Park. It has a splash pad and a playground. It's right next to the farmer's market, and there is a new horse statue in there. If you haven't seen the horse, we're actually looking for a little funding to finish the fence and the landscaping. So if you feel called and you want to donate to that project, please reach out to the city. It's actually a life-size horse with a fisherman riding the back of it. She also does Claudia Driscoll Park, which has the skate park and a playground. Hamilton Dog Park, that's a very popular park for people with dogs, of course. Hieronymus Park is a natural park by Dairy Queen, and there's trails and ponds back there. Kiwanis Park is just on the top of the hill above River Park. River Park is also a natural park. It goes down into the river bottom. And on the south side of that is Scalcahoe Bend, another natural park. And then behind Sapphire Lutheran Homes is Steve Powell Park, another natural park. And we have Bester Wilson, which is the baseball field, and Tallman Fields behind it. So those are the 10 parks. We manage 236 acres of parks, 9 miles of trails, 3 playgrounds, 1 splash deck, 3 baseball fields, 1 BMX track, and 1 fishing pond. Amy also manages the city cemetery. It's called Riverview Cemetery, and also the urban forestry of the city. In the summer, her team maintains all the parks with mowing and maintenance. And in the winter, they take care of many of the city sidewalks for snow and ice removal. Chief Steve Snavely oversees the Hamilton Police Department. I know he's here to talk this morning, but I wanted to say the most successful thing that I feel, the most prominent accomplishment he's made this last year, is the introduction of body cameras for the police officers and using artificial intelligence system to help generate police reports. Karen Marr is the city attorney. She manages the attorney's office with the assistance of her deputy attorney, John Bell. The city of Hamilton prosecutes misdemeanors, parking tickets, and Karen Marr does all of the civil attorney work for the city. She's extremely valuable to me and the city department heads. Most of the projects that the city completes have her fingerprints on them, as she reviews contracts and provides legal guidance for the city. Donnie Raymer is the Public Works and Street Department Director. He manages the water and wastewater system in the city, and we recently completed a very comprehensive update to our wastewater facility as well. Donnie Raymer was instrumental in the completion of Valley Street this year. It is 3,172 feet of new road and sidewalks. The project extends from 1st Street to 9th Street in the city with a contract price of $2,967,298. The city had budgeted for many years for this project, and the completed project improves traffic safety and pedestrian safety on that road. We've continued to improve our water system by replacing water mains and fixing leaks in the water system. The street department is responsible for plowing roads and sweeping streets. They often come in very early and stay late to make sure that the streets are safe and drivable. Tyson Woods is the fire chief of the Hamilton Volunteer Fire Department. His assistant chief is Tony Sisson. Together they operate the fire department. One of the most successful projects this year was the sharing of duties by the officers. The chief, the assistant chief, and 4 captains are all part-time paid employees that take turns being on duty over the weekends, training and testing of new firefighters, and the operation of the department. The city had over 300 fire calls that they had responded to last year, and the call volume continues to rise. They've settled into their new state-of-the-art fire station located on the corner of Foxfield and Skills Avenue, and if you've not had a chance to tour it, I recommend that you do that. City Court is run by Judge John Connors Lloyd. He is newly installed as Royce McCarty retired at the end of December. The City Court is located at the Justice Center on the corner of 10th Street and Main Street in Hamilton, and the court hears misdemeanor cases. The City Council is comprised of 6 members, 2 for each of the 3 wards of the City of Hamilton. They are the legislative branch of the government and make decisions regarding policy and ordinances. They also approve all the contracts and projects that the city runs. They meet the 1st and 3rd Tuesday night for council meetings where decisions are made, and the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays as a committee of the whole where they discuss its that will be voted on at council meetings. The meetings are at 7 p.m. and are open to the public. That's my speech. Chief Snavely. No one trusts me now.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Billy. So my name is Steve Snavely. One of the oldest ones up here. I won't say the oldest, but one of the oldest ones up here. So I need glasses now to see my notes here. When the mayor asked me to come talk at this, I said, what am I going to discuss here? So I'm just going to briefly give an update of the last year and where we're at the police department and what we're looking forward to going forward. So our calls for service last year were actually down a little bit, where we had 6,090 calls for service in the city of Hamilton. Of that, we did 1,845 case reports. Those case reports are everything from felonies to misdemeanors, and of those are actually up by 300 calls. And then our traffic stops are down by almost 1,500. And I can tell you, in my opinion, I think the reason for that is, unfortunately, we are understaffed in this last year.
I thought it was because everyone was driving that.
I wish, Mayor, I wish. As any of you have driven in town, you all know that it's hard to turn left anywhere or turn right out of the parking lots or anything. It's difficult to drive, especially during the day and week. I'll tell you, we've routinely been down 2 to 3 patrol positions. I'm currently down 3 patrol positions at this time. Due to the staffing issues, we are having our officers work 12-hour shifts. These 12-hour shifts often turn into 13, 14, 15-hour shifts due to the nature of the calls, the service at the end of the day that they get, and having to get reports done. Due to this shortage, I've had our detectives work patrol shifts, my lieutenant work patrol shifts, and I've gone out and worked patrol shifts.
On Christmas Day.
I did. I worked Christmas Day, which is I'm happy to do. So as you can imagine, this takes a toll on morale, which when you have turnover, it's just like it seems to be an ever-ending cycle. But I will say, fortunately, we have one officer, hopefully new hire, in doing a background investigation on him now. And we are testing this Saturday for the other 2 positions and hopefully to have those filled shortly. When we hire a new officer, it takes 6 months to have that officer to hit the road and be by themselves, because we send them to the Montana Law Enforcement Academy, which is 3 months long, and then we do a 3-month field training to make sure that officer is prepared to handle any call that comes in the middle of the night when somebody's not around. So that's where we sit as far as personnel. I will tell you that one of the best things I think that we did this last year, and I'm glad to see that the school's here, is we added a grant-funded, partially funded by grant, U.S. Department of Justice COPS grant. We funded a new school resource officer position. That officer was put into the middle school where we had seen a need to have an officer because our calls for service were up there. And I can tell you, in the last year when we put him in there, our calls for service are down. I think he's made an impact in that school. So we have a full-time SRO at the high school, we have a full-time SRO at the middle school, and then they split duties to get over to Daly Elementary and have lunch with kids and read to them and talk to them about safety. So I'd like to thank the high school for their cooperation, or the school district for their cooperation and working with us to get that position funded. I also want to thank the sheriff's office, being short-staffed. Without their assistance, because we have one officer on at times sometimes, and without the sheriff's office assistance, they're our backup. As I'm sure Marshal Gibson could tell you, is when they have one officer on, the sheriff's office is their backup, and we require that. And so I want to thank the commissioner and his staff with the sheriff's office for providing that service to us. I also want to thank SAFE because of the assistance they provide with domestic violence to our community. I think it's an important thing that without their assistance, we would be nowhere where we are today. And they do an outstanding job for us. And then I also like to thank Riverfront Mental Health and for their mental health counseling. We have a mental health crisis in our community, and they are a great resource to us. I think we have a mental health crisis in our state, and I'm sure Representative Beatty can probably tell you. It's been discussed at the legislature, and it will continue to be discussed. I can tell you, as I am the current president of the Montana Association of Chiefs of Police, and I reach out to my partners throughout the state, and Hamilton is no different than Billings, than Bozeman, and Helena. A lot of these communities around the state, we're all facing mental health crisis in our communities, housing crises in our communities, and we're doing what we can as officers and as police chiefs to battle this and take it on, but we couldn't do it without community support. And I didn't introduce myself real well, but I've been an officer with the Hamilton Police Department for 28 years. I've been the chief of police for the last 5. And I'll tell anybody, and I think I told somebody this morning, is we have great community support here, and we couldn't do it without our community support. From the businesses to the residents, this is the best place in the world to be a chief of police, to be an officer, because we have such great support. And I want to thank everybody here today for that support. Thank you.
Speaking of Sheriff Holton, he wanted to be here today, but he had to testify in Helena today, so he was unable to make it. Also, a change in agenda item. Mayor Jim Cruz is unable to make it today. He is ill. So he called late last night, so his apologies for not being in attendance. But moving on to our next guest. Thank you to all the mayors who are here for sharing the current state of the communities. While those updates give us a clear picture at the city level, many of the opportunities and challenges we face extend beyond city boundaries. To build on what we've heard, we'll now hear from the Ravalli County Economic Development Authority, or Reseda, who will provide a valley-wide perspective on the economy. Please welcome Executive Director Julie Foster and Food and Agriculture Development Center Director Chris Nix.
Thank you very much, Jody, and the Chamber for having us here today to talk with you about the state of the Bitterroot. You know, statistics are readily available out there. University of Montana is going to do the Business and Economic Outlook Seminar in Missoula, January 30th. And so I'm not going to stand up here and rattle off a bunch of that kind of thing. What I want to do is engage from a different daily perspective of how friends, colleagues, and family are experiencing their reality in the Bitterroot these days. And to learn what I was going to share with you today, I asked those folks, how does your present income affect your daily life? One point of reference could be, are your basic daily needs of housing, healthcare, transportation, recreation, ability to save for the future? Does your job feel stable and enable you to make decisions and planning for the future? Economically, what is going best for you and what is not going well? And so I'm going to ask you to participate in two-minute each imagining scenarios. And after that, Jody will hand out some factual information that I've prepared. But these are facts as well. These are direct information from folks. So let's begin. Please close your eyes. Please imagine that you're in your 40s and you grew up in the Bitterroot. You're a hard worker. You earn a better wage than many. Picture yourself in a 3-bedroom home that you worked hard to acquire. You're there with your small family that you love. Think about the end of the workday and you get to go pick up your child from daycare. On the car ride home, there's chatter and laughing. This kid is so special. Imagine the holiday season in your home. Can you smell the baking? When spring arrives, do you have a garden? Can you feel the warm sunshine as you and your family go out the door of your home for a hike or bike ride? Can you smell the pines and the cottonwoods? The trail isn't far because you live in the beautiful Bitterroot Valley. Please open your eyes momentarily, and thank you for participating in that portion. Now please close your eyes again. Please imagine that you're in your 40s. You grew up in the Bitterroot. You're a hard worker. You earn a better wage than many. Picture yourself in the 3-bedroom home that you worked hard to acquire. You're there with your small family that you love. Think about the end of the workday and you get to pick up your child from daycare. On the ride home, there's chatter and laughing. You aren't really engaged with the chatter today. Your mind wanders. Imagine that you recently learned that healthcare and insurance are going to cost 20% of your monthly paycheck. You're worried about how much longer you can afford to pay for the child care. Imagine that you tally the cost of living and subtract them from your monthly paycheck. Mortgage, car payment, groceries, child care, health care. Imagine that you get pencil and paper and you try again. Try again, you don't succeed. Imagine you go outside and stare into your garden. Let your breath out now. In a sigh of relief, you finally figured this out, and the answer becomes clear. Many of these expenses can go on a credit card. Imagine that a year passes and the credit card debt mounted. You know in your heart that you were not irresponsible, you just had no safety net and you made hard choices. Now please imagine summertime in the Bitterroot. Let yourself smile. Can you feel the warm sunshine? Can you hear the streams begin to run? Can you smell the cottonwoods? Doesn't this Bitterroot smell wonderful? Imagine these senses as you and your family go out the door of your home. Imagine that you shut the door for the last time. It isn't your door anymore. Imagine that you handed the keys over to your real estate agent and thanked them for getting top dollar for your home. Imagine that you can pay off all your bills and have a small nest egg to start over. Imagine that trail you used to walk is far away because you don't live in your home or your hometown anymore. Do you feel relief that you were able to find a solution in another state where you're able to get by? How's your child doing? Please open your eyes. The responses I received were poignant. People sent paragraphs describing their feelings and realities. I spoke with some of them. I feel a deep appreciation that they were willing to take the time to share with me. In many instances, they included data to show their situation. As I share this information with you, it is a bit emotional because these folks are my friends. I wish there was some miraculous program I could unveil today that would help, but there isn't. Please take a look at the spreadsheet that's being handed out. As you know, there are many scenarios that can take place. I'm now going to quickly share the points received in response to my questions. Nearly all the people that responded began with something like, I'm very fortunate to have a good job. I moved here in time to get a house that I was able to afford. Professionals, highly skilled workers, and small business owners have this to say. Health insurance will now be 20% to 59% of their income. Simple pleasures like going out to eat, movies, entertainment, recreation activities have been reduced. Local spending that was spread over many establishments and contributions to community have had to be reduced and become much more selective. One family's health insurance plan was going to cost $27,000 a year and had an $18,000 deductible. That family switched to a $200 primary care plan and is planning to self-insure. The numbers are not a one-off situation, but solutions for folks are different, of course. Financial stress and anxiety have been caused by one-off issues like the government shutdown, fear of job loss, cuts to programs that assist with food, housing, mental health, and programming for senior citizens. Parents are worried about saving for their kids' college or additional education. Parents are worried about job prospects and what advancing technology and artificial intelligence are going to impact. Parents want to understand what the generation of their children will have for opportunities. People that have always saved for retirement and for rainy day events aren't able to do so as well or at all. Business owners are limiting growth, some due to increasing costs such as paying higher wages, which is necessary to retain good employees as well as to have them try to live here. Nevertheless, sometimes those employees have to leave because they can't afford it. Some business owners say the labor shortage is easing, making hiring a bit less difficult. Business owners would like to provide health care insurance for their staff, but cannot and often can't afford it for themselves. My perspective from RCEDA is that business startups and growth have changed significantly over the last 6 years. Expansions of companies are not happening as much. Many of our economic development programs had the metrics that we needed to adhere to of job creation. And none of those type programs have been accessed or requested since 2019. Most business starts that I'm seeing in our office are in the service and tourism economy. Maintaining the status quo seems to be what many are doing. For the past 5 years, my work with local government has mainly been with Ravalli County and the city of Hamilton. I look forward to working with Mayor Mediker and Mayor Cruz. The staff and elected officials have done a fantastic job of plugging in every single tool and resource possible to enable infrastructure planning and revenue generation for the future. The Montana Department of Commerce and the DNRC have provided exceptional programs for us in the way of loans and grants. In the end, the situation with our community and our community members is the determining factor. The only way to change our reality is for citizens to decide what kind of community they want to live within and begin working toward making that so. It'll take perseverance, it'll take time. This present situation that we're in didn't just occur today, and it isn't just about healthcare. It's just one straw that is breaking the camel's back. The good news, at least for me, is that I believe in us, in all of us. We've always managed to get together and do things well. And so I have no doubt that if we want to make positive change, we will.
Grace Nichols. I'm the Food and Ag Director.
My name is Grace Nichols. I work at RCEA with Julie, and I'm the Food and Ag Development Center Director. I work with farms and small food businesses in Missoula and the Bitterroot, and I'm going to keep it short. I mainly work with small acreage livestock and produce growers, so I won't really be talking about haying or cattle operations today. I've only been working here since 2022, so I won't say what's historical. I can only speak on the last 4 years. I'm seeing a lot of businesses diversifying. So if that's a producer, perhaps it's having agritourism on their operation, inviting people onto the farm, doing farm stays. I'm seeing a lot of value-added ag items out of commodities like apple cider donuts, sandwiches with ferments, using their crops in barbecue sauces. Lots of farm stands have popped up in the last few years, indicating smaller producers and a lot more of them. Brand awareness and community support in Missoula and the Bitterroot remains really high, and it seems like that is a linchpin for success for a lot of people. A lot of businesses are beginning to sell their products outside of the Bitterroot and Missoula, expanding their market reach, using either personal or cooperative transportation to distribute. When I talk to farmers, it seems like farmers market attendance has decreased from 2022 and 2023. People say that's based on tourism decreasing, but I haven't seen any numbers to back that up. There's a farmer's market in nearly every community in the county. Input costs continue to rise for everything from fertilizers and plastics to packaging materials. The bulk of increased packaging costs hit during COVID, and it's slowed down slightly. Producers are choosing to not switch to higher quality packaging material due to this cost increase. Margins are shrinking for a lot of producers, and so they're either having to push up their cost or reduce input costs in ways that they can. Like probably every other business in this room right now, there's a labor shortage, but that's slowing down for a lot of people. The producers where it's not slowing down are super seasonal and specific labor farms like berry farms and orchards. They need a lot of labor at specific points of time for harvesting, pruning, etc. Not being able to source skilled and reliable labor is a huge issue as well. And one threat multiple producers have cited recently is warming winters and reduction of snowpack. The reduction of snowpack really impacts when people get irrigation through ditches. People are getting less and less water through September and October, which is limiting their growing season. There's also concern about increased wildfires and the effects on their health and their employees' health. I'm seeing a lot of farmers working together to increase on labor solutions, sharing facilities, and bulk ordering inputs. And overall, it seems like there's a lot of support and a lot of growth still in the agricultural sector. Thank you.
Many of these issues and opportunities we've heard about today are shaped not only locally, but at the state level as well. To connect our regional priorities with what's happening in Helena, we'll now hear from one of our Montana House representatives. Please welcome Montana Legislator House District 86 Representative David.
Well, thank you. I am David Beatty. I'm a fourth generation Bitterrooter. And I will assure Chief Snavely that he is not the oldest person in the room. To give you some context, when Mayor Fahrenkopf was born, I was a second lieutenant in the 7th Infantry Division. There's a lot of ground we could cover in terms of the state interaction with local government and how things are happening here at the local level. I do not have time to address all of that, and in fact, the reason I'm up here is because Jody, I was taking a walk and I received a phone call from Jody about 48 hours ago saying, hey, how would you like to talk? And I said, sure. Then I thought to myself, what should I talk about? I'm going to limit this to 3 topics today. I had a couple of others, but I think based on what I've heard from other panelists here, I think 3 are most significant. The first is property taxes. Property taxes obviously have a major effect on everyone living here in the Bitterroot Valley. And it's important to know that property tax revenue goes almost exclusively to funding local government and funding our K-12 schools. There is a statewide 95 mil levy. All of that money is collected at the state level and then it's redistributed to meet our equalization goals across the state. They go back to school districts. The only portion of property tax revenue that does not go locally is the university 6 mil levy, which is voted on by the voters every 10 years. And so that flows to the Montana University system. Now, going into the legislative session last time, arguably, and at least in my opinion, the most significant issue that was facing us was property taxes, and that was driven by the fact that we had an enormous disruption of our real estate market that occurred around 2023-2024 timeframe. What this did was it distorted the distribution of property values amongst the various classes of property. We could spend an entire day talking about the complexity of property taxes and our property tax system, but the fact of the matter is residential property valuations went up an extreme amount and consequently became a larger portion of the tax base and consequently paid a larger portion of property taxes. That's how the pie gets split up. The people most affected by this property tax disruption were Montana primary residents, property owners, and therefore we put together a property tax plan that was focused on providing relief to Montanans for their primary residence. No property tax plan is going to be perfect. You're going to end up shifting tax burdens one way or another, unless you can find a way to fund local government at a lower level than it's funded right now. And what I've heard from the panelists here is they're struggling to have the funds necessary to get the job done as it stands. That's just a reality. It's unpleasant. Most people don't want to hear it, but it's the truth of the matter. The property tax legislation that passed on a bipartisan basis, it was opposed. There were other alternatives, but the other alternatives did not deliver the relief that was put forward by what was passed and was supported by the governor. And that property tax relief saw for this current tax year a 89% or for 89% of residents saw either lower or flat taxes. That's not true of everyone because it all depends upon what your local spending is like, what your individual property, how much its valuation went up, which unfortunately there was another spike in valuations that occurred. But across the board, we were successful in reducing or holding steady property taxes for 89% of residential property owners. And just to give you some context, once again, it varies across the state because the tax bases are different from county to county. But the median homeowner saw about a $1,200 reduction in their taxes. Not everyone, clearly. Looking ahead in property taxes, as you can probably tell from reading the newspapers, it remains a hot topic. I would argue that there's still work to be done on property tax reform. One of the things that concerns me is for commercial properties, and I'm talking about small businesses largely, there continues to be a large increase in the valuation of those properties. And I'm trying to get a handle on when that's going to flatten out. I think the residential problem is going to solve itself, but that creates a problem. The bigger picture that we have to consider when we're going forward and working on property tax policy is remember that we can try to cut property taxes. We can shift the burden from one place to another. But all of the remember, property taxes fund our local governments. And so I think it's important, if we are going to make significant changes in property tax policy, we always need to be mindful of what the effect is on our local governments. I was going to speak about income tax reduction. Yes, we had income tax reduction. I'll take a question on that if someone has it later. I will move on to another thing that I think has direct bearing here. Medicaid expansion is a program that provides healthcare coverage to people between 19 and 64 if they are at 138% of the federal poverty line. For a single person, for 2025, that was about just over $20,000. For a family of four, it'd be $42,000 for a household income. There are a lot of concerns about Medicaid expansion, about its sustainability. It's a federal program, and whether or not it encourages people not to work. Our own Montana Department of Business and Labor, or Labor and Industry, I should say, routinely conducts studies of the Medicaid expansion population. In their latest study, they found that 72% of people receiving Medicaid expansion benefits are working. About 2/3 of those are working full-time. 10% are disabled and would be on standard Medicaid otherwise. 7% are caregivers, 4% are going to school, and the rest are unaccounted for. But if you add all of that up, well over 90% of people on Medicaid expansion are either working, a substantial number are working, some are disabled, and some are working at home, being caregivers, primary caregivers. I think it's important to think about that as you think about Medicaid expansion, because I think there is a myth out there that people receiving Medicaid expansion benefits are bums. Those people that are not working, they're in their parents' basement playing video games. This is not your typical Medicaid expansion person. I would suggest, although I can't prove this, that the fact that we have 11% of people in this state, and that includes Ravenna, it's true in Ravenna County as well, in the 19 to 64 year old age range on Medicaid expansion. 11% of that working age population are on Medicaid expansion says something about the nature of our economy and the kinds of gig jobs that are out there, seasonal jobs, and that sort of thing. Many of the people, not all, not a majority, but many of the people on Medicaid expansion receive mental health and drug and alcohol treatment through that program. As was pointed out by one of our law enforcement officers here, it appears to me he substantiates what I see from reading the newspapers, is we have a drug problem, significant drug problem. We have a significant mental health problem. Medicaid expansion provides a means for us to provide the treatment that's necessary. I would love to have other alternatives, but as it stands now, I have not heard any. It's interesting to note that Medicaid expansion started up many, many years ago. Just to give you some historical perspective, though, that in terms of federal action since its inception, the first Trump administration did nothing with Medicaid expansion and left it in place. The Biden administration took a look at Montana's Medicaid expansion program and refused to adopt the community engagement, otherwise known as work requirements, portion of that. And recently, the second Trump administration has made some changes to Medicaid expansion to include federal community engagement work requirements. That's where we stand now. This is a federal program supported by both Democrat and Republican administrations over the last 3 terms. And that's where we stand right now. I look forward to seeing our Medicaid expansion program in Montana operated as efficiently as possible. And I think that it is possible to do that. Before I get off of Medicaid expansion, there is one other factor here that was critical in my decision to support this program, both in the most recent session and in 2019 when I first came on board in the legislature. And that is, it's been well established that the viability of rural hospitals and medical facilities is threatened in those areas, in those places that do not have Medicaid expansion. That's because hospitals have both a moral and a legal obligation to treat people that show up in the emergency room. And I've looked into this into great detail. Once again, I'd like to find a transformation of our medical system that could provide healthcare in a reasonable and responsible way across the board. I have not heard those solutions yet, and none have come out of Washington, as I pointed out. But the viability of our rural hospital, Bitterroot Health, and or as I used to like to refer to it as Marcus Daly, since that's where I was born, Marcus Daly Hospital. If we want to ensure its financial viability and its ability to extend its services to cover people across this valley, then Medicaid expansion is a critical part of it. Looking forward now, a lot has to do with that we do at the state level has to do with our budget. We have a constitutional requirement to balance the state budget every biennium, every 2 years. So we do a biennial budget. We balance the budget, and as is our constitutional duty. And in fact, according to the statutorily defined definition of how to calculate budget growth, we have very modest budget growth for the biennium at 0.7%. We have a balanced budget, and however, I want to say that we are going to have a very fiscally constrained session coming up, in large part because of actions taken at the federal level with tax reductions at the federal level that will flow down, income tax reductions that will flow down at the local level. So at the end of this next biennium, which is we're in fiscal year 2026 now, first year of the biennium. At the end of fiscal year 2027, we will have a budget balance of $362 million. We'll be in the black. But at that point, our ongoing expenditures versus our ongoing revenues will be a negative $35 million. We're trending downwards. We're going to have to address that issue going forward. But it does not require us to feel like the house is on fire or that we need to jump through hoops to do that. We can look at this in a very responsible way and determine what's to be done. But it is going to put some pressure on the state budget. And when there's pressure on the state budget, it influences things like grant programs that assist places like Darby. It could affect what's referred to as entitlement share, which is a funding stream that comes from the state to our cities and counties. It comprises of a variety of revenue sources, of which income tax revenue is a large portion of that. So I'll end on this particular note. I think that we're in sound shape right now, but in terms of going forward, we're going to be in a tough budget environment going forward, and that means that that will necessarily have some effect on our local governments, and I look forward to hearing from them, and I'm sure the legislative delegation from Ravenna County will as well, as we navigate ourselves through these times. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We weren't certain if we were going to be able to get one of our commissioners here today due to their busy schedules, but Commissioner Dan Holmes is here and we appreciate that, so come on up.
thank you all for being here, and thank you to the chamber for the invitation, and sorry for the confusion. So, partially rests on me. My executive assistant asked, "Are you going to do this?" And I said, "I'll get back to you," and I didn't get back to him. My God. So, anyway, those things happen. Ravalli County, as Representative Beatty just explained, is going to go through a little bit of a tough time here financially. We have been blessed with lots of COVID money, lots of federal money that rained down, and we've tried to spend that in ways that were not ongoing expenses. So one-time expenses where we can improve our infrastructure and do certain things. Our grant funding has been tremendously beneficial to us, thanks to much in part to Julie Foster and RCEDA working closely with us. We have established a new sewer system out to the targeted economic development district. It goes out to the airport. The airport is basically a floating airport, so any septics out there are, yeah, they're not feasible. They don't work. There's holding tanks out there. As everybody knows who lives in the country and has a cesspool or a septic system, every once in a while you have to pump those. Our pumpers have found that through no fault of their own, they're used to spread on the land. Some of that is gone. There's only one or two places where they can spread that effluent on the land anymore. And they were going to Missoula, and Missoula was accepting that effluent. They closed that portion of their plant for renovation. Now those pumpers have to take that effluent all the way to Helena. And it's not something that is sustainable. We have embarked on a project to create a system where they can dump in Ravalli County and we can process that effluent here. And we've got a preliminary engineering report just finished. We think that we'll be going forward with that at some point in time. So just in order to maintain the systems that we have. Another thing that we are going to be doing is Ricketts Road here will be redone and paved this year thanks to some federal funding that we were able to secure, and that's been a blessing for us, and that project will start this spring sometime. So we have to replace all the culverts underneath this road. That will be a county responsibility, and so that's going to be quite a project there for the short period of time. The airport expansion, the airport hangars and the expansion plant are going to come out, and where the Hamilton Trap Club is now, will be hangars at some point. And so we have asked the Trap Club to relocate. We are in the process of trying to help them find a place for their Trap Club to be. There's new technology out that they can put curtains up and whatnot to eliminate the noise. So we're actively seeking a portion where they can shoot, and there's certain criteria that we have to have. They like to face north so the sun isn't in their eyes at the wrong time and the wrong way. And so we're actively helping them to pursue a relocation place. So that's some of the things that we have going on here in Ravalli County. We are heavily reliant on federal and state monies that come to us. Those monies are based on the census. In 2020, the census, in my opinion, was undercounted significantly in Ravalli County. So the numbers that we are stuck with and using will be there until the next census happens, and that will be the 2030, I think, will be every 10 years. So 2020 to 2030. So anyway, that formula is what, based on our population, is what determines many times our funding from the federal level that we can get or the funding from the state level on the different programs that we can get. That affects law enforcement, that affects roads, that affects everything that we do in Ravalli County. Roads, we, the commission, are thinking about placing a question on the ballot to increase the road fund. And that will be a voted on property tax increase if we decide to go that way. We'll be having a meeting in the next month or so at the fairgrounds in the event center to let the public tell us what they want to have and what they want to hear. So we're reaching out and get it so that when it appears on the ballot, if it appears on the ballot, it won't be a surprise to anyone, and they'll be educated about what we plan to do with those funds if they want to prove. Some of the positive things that we've had going on, our open lands bond program has been extremely successful. It was just renewed at the last election and passed with over 70% of the vote. So the people of Ravalli County have stepped up and they want to keep this place looking as much as they can like this place needs to look. And that is farms and ranches, sustainable agriculture. And that's been a very successful program for us, thanks to the voters' support for that. The other thing that we are all concerned about is our rank as the highest fire danger county in the nation, right here in the valley. And so we are working hard. We have hired a county forester. That position is currently vacant, but we've had two, and we're looking for our third one now. And they will work closely with the Forest Service to increase the pace and scale of wildland urban interface fire dangers, with programs to reduce that fire danger and the fuels around those houses. So those are some of the things that we have going on, and thank you all for your attention.
Alrighty, you guys, it's time for questions. So when asking a question, please indicate which speaker you are addressing. Dawn, we're going to give the microphone one more go here. You want to test it? Sit on.
I think it's going to work closer to the receiver.
It'll work down there. I think we're too far, which is causing the AI Jody version. So if you guys would like to raise your hand if we have any questions, this is your chance for engagement. Dawn will come. You don't need one. Okay, go ahead.
My question has to do with the Sheep Creek mine. I want to understand from the county commissioner, since we have that very large and impactful meeting, about where the county commission stands on the Sheep Creek mine currently, and what your plan is moving forward.
I am currently the chairman of the board. I know that I think I can't speak for the others, but I will oppose this mine vehemently. The reason being, I understand the need for those critical materials, those critical minerals. I think that the potential for disruption of our pristine Bitterroot Valley, Bitterroot River is too great. I wish that the proponents of the mine, when they gave us their presentation at that meeting, I wish everything they said was true.
Yeah.
And it's too good to be true. It can't work that way. Frankly, Ravalli County will be, in my opinion, economically damaged if that goes through, because we maintain all the roads, the infrastructure, and everything that gets them all the way over to Highway 93 to haul the material to Idaho. We can't afford to maintain those roads. The 1877 mining laws don't allow for that. to happen, we will have their property tax, and that's it on the. So it's, I think it's a horrible idea in this environment. While I support the need and I understand the need, we just don't need to do it. Thank you.
Okay, down here in front, Andrew.
Andrew, I don't even like.
Maybe just stay back there.
Commissioner Hall, question on the census, and you
Yes.
said based on residents. So what are the factors in regards to the census being underreported?
I think the main reason was COVID was going on at that time. Normally when the census is done, then they do a canvass after the people voluntarily provide their information to round up those that didn't want to be counted or don't want to be counted. None of that happened last time.
Oh, wow.
None of that happened. Say, they didn't come and knock on your door and say, is there 2 of you here or 3 of you here? Who lives in this household? And normally they do a canvass after the census is done or during that process, and they pick up a lot of people that are missed. So, and I think the evidence of that is, and was, the campgrounds around the valley were all full. Lots of travel trailers, those people didn't report, and many of them are still here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a question for Representative Beatty. Where are we at with the lawsuit with the DNRC and exempt wells?
I do not know where that stands on the exempt well question. My own view of exempt well is more of a 30,000 foot view. I think it's going to be a continual problem until we have legislation that results in a compromise between agricultural issues, interests, development interests, residential interests, and environmental interests. And beyond that, I can't answer your question.
Okay.
My question is, with the budget that you're talking about and worries and the implementations to help keep balance, is there a sales tax and what's going to come into that solution? And I want to kind of piggyback off of you and Foster in that second round that we all did, how much that would really affect people.
So right now, in the last couple of years, is the first time I've heard any sort of even lukewarm enthusiasm for adoption of a sales tax. Constitutionally, a general sales tax in the state of Montana would be limited to 4% unless the Constitution is changed. I have hearing rumors of folks putting forward sales tax ideas. They haven't gone anywhere since I've been in the legislature, but I'm not sure how much legs they have. There will be, thinking back a couple of election cycles when Governor Gianforte ran against Lieutenant Governor Cooney, both of them vehemently opposed adoption of a sales tax. So in terms of its viability in the near term, I would say it's unlikely to see a sales tax, but I do think that with most people are recognizing that we need to fund our local governments at an adequate level to provide the services people need. And they also are recognizing that we have a two-legged stool now, primarily property taxes, to a lesser degree income taxes, and a few other fairly minor sources to do that. I think that folks may eventually warm to a sales tax, but I don't, personally speaking here, I see it unlikely to get broad support unless we can craft legislation, or more likely a constitutional amendment that would tie the sales tax to reduction in property taxes. If you don't, the one thing I'm pretty confident of, if you try to run a sales tax proposal and leave it disconnected from property taxes, I'm almost 100% sure it won't pass. It might pass if you have an ironclad connection to reductions in control of property taxes. That's how that will go. in the bigger political scheme of things, many people on the right are opposed to new taxes of any type, so you'll see some opposition there. And some folks on the left see sales taxes as harming low-income people disproportionately, so you'll see opposition to sales taxes on the left as well. It's a tough needle to thread, but that's the lay of the land as it stands right now.
Any other questions?
Same for Mr. Beatty.
It's funny, I was called here as a moment of desperation. And here
Everything is meant to be. I work for RSC, and so you talk a lot about mental health. You also talked about the struggles that we're having with a lot of drug within the valley, and we're all very accustomed and understand that. The biggest thing that I see is that there's not a lot of support to get to these struggling people that need the help. Like, do you know, like in the valley, how many like Alcohol Anonymous meetings they have? There's like 2. And the drug abuse meetings, there's none. So they have to do a lot online and everything. And my thing is, where is our support to help that? We have an issue, it's growing, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And we're just like, oh, we have it, great. What are we doing about it? And also coming from RSC, working with a lot of mental health, we need to make sure that we have the support with like our law enforcement, our firemen. Are they being trained to help to work with people that have mental illnesses? That's the support that like I'm looking to hear. What are our programs that we're going to put in place for this?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, and I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of this particular area. I would simply say that there seems to be growing interest in the legislature in addressing the mental health issue. Part of that was we recognized in the continuation of Medicaid expansion, the things you're talking about require funding. And so we're looking for funding sources to make that happen. I do know that that we passed legislation that has to do with crisis intervention teams to deploy across the state to try to intervene in cases that are law enforcement cases that can be that have a mental health nexus to them. I wish I could tell you that we have a comprehensive plan for dealing with the mental health crisis. All I can say is that there's a lot of pieces in play right now, and I believe it will be an ongoing and a necessary ongoing effort, because I'm as well. You are in a see it day to day. I see it often enough when I read the newspaper to recognize that we have people that are struggling mightily right now, and it impacts the quality of life for all of us, not just those individuals. And I can't give you any more information.
Well, we invite you. We have monthly training, so come on over. We would love to help out with that partnership.
When I get my 26th hour of the day, I'll see you. But I would invite you to reach out to me by text or email to let me know the opportunity, so that because I might need a little bit of help myself.
We might have time for about 2 more questions. Does it, Laura?
Yeah, I don't need a mic either. I believe this is for Dominic. I think this is a city. I've heard rumors about a possible new park by Daly Elementary.
Oh.
Is that county or is that city? And are you allowed to talk about that? And is that true?
Well, that's your park. It's our park.
Yes, Bitterroot Park. It's on Kurt's Lane. I think there's 7 acres there. It's funny, that park has been there for way before I became commissioner. I don't know, it's been there for a long time. It wasn't necessarily a park. And when a proposed subdivision next to that came to be, and they approached us to maybe used the access across the ditch. That became known to the neighbors and everybody, and it became very, very, very excited about the fact that they have a park in their backyard that they didn't know about.
So is it going to be developed, or is it
It's going
just
to be
open land at
developed,
this
yes,
point?
yeah,
Okay.
yes, it's going to be developed.
Gentleman in the red shirt, and then you can go. Okay.
I don't have first of all, I wanted to thank the chamber for having this forum because it's really good and Julie's invitation and the overall is really good. And it appears, my general statement is to this crowd and what I see as the commonality is we're all short of money. And the reason I'm here today is because the nation is across the Rubicon. The chamber, and as an individual, owners of the public must acknowledge a new national reality. This is above party or politics, but rather as one past business community member appealing to the business community as a whole. The elephant in this room is a mad federal element that's ignoring the rule of law, and changes in our community and lifestyle are the result. And how are we, as a community, going to use community to be a peer? I'm Archie Thomas. I'm a native Montanan. I'm a conservative Republican. I've been a resident since 1965. I've been involved into a conservative independent, and as a small business owner, I've never publicly expressed a party affiliation and understand that a party affiliation in a small business in a small market is not a good idea. I was an NFIB member for 50 years. I've been a member of the chamber. I've been a member of the board, and I sold my business 10 years ago and disposed of my commercial real estate. I've met payroll while working for nothing at times like anybody else in business. I've survived 10 years of mismanagement, inflation in the 70s, 4 recessions, avoided bankruptcy once. Politicians I've supported have spent my money expanding the federal debt on things that I agreed with. And the opposition politicians have spent my money and expanded the debt on things that I opposed. In neither case, our system of government remained intact. I moved here when the national printing arm of the John Birch Society was in Hamilton. I've watched the local militia threaten local justices of the peace. I say this not to impress you, but rather as some and as most of you have always done the same. This is not any of ours first rodeo. The community is secure. We are in a fake national emergency that is not normal. And I do not reach this conclusion lightly. My breaking point is attacking Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, after suffering 8 to 13% inflation for 10 years. And the last thing is snow. Snow in the case of the head of Homeland Security describing a public killing under her watch, in part due to agents stuck in the snow on a clearly visible street. We've already departed reality and there hasn't been a shot fired. Individually and as a community, we need to face the reality. We need to calmly discuss, acknowledge, and advocate for ourselves and community. At present, we have got the ongoing community losses. We've lost 30 to 50 positions at RML. If there's an average of $60K per position, that's $3 million in payroll loss in the county. If that circulates 3 times in the community, that's a $9 million loss. I think anybody here would like that loss if they had the chance. And in the meantime, we've got a national research lab that's in shambles, and we've got a congressional state delegation and county commissioners are AWOL or missing in action. Ravalli County is encompassed on 3 sides by a watershed. Within a national forest, with a sliver of private land down the middle. Proposed Sheep Creek mine will contaminate the water supply, the only water supply for that sliver of private land. We have a federal government pushing aside projections, providing quick approval of the mine like crack through a goose. RML payroll loss in Sheep Creek mine in Ravalli County is equivalent to the death of Renee Good in Minneapolis. It would not look good in broad daylight to kill a white woman in Montana. Plus, unlike Minneapolis, it takes longer to make people sick and kill them with a bad mind or a lack of research. Similar to Minnesota, we have no say in either payroll loss at the mine or mine operation. And before you dismiss me as a nut, consider this. What are the odds that we have more say than Minnesota on the mine? There's no refinery for rare earths in the U.S., period. Refinery design and placement and completion is measured in years or decades. Present mine not only does not address water quality issues, it further lies at multiple levels when compared to prior statements. Are you aware that a huge volume of the present defined COVID knowledge is a result of work at the Rocky Mountain Lab? This can be independent of your feelings in regard to COVID policy.
Excuse me,
You cannot make informed policy decisions about a virus unless you define the unknown characteristics. In summary, I am just about to wrap it up.
Okay, because we gotta keep this to our time.
I apologize, but I wanted to bring everybody's attention to this. And in summary, community is the cure. We have a great community and we're all sitting right in here. And if only individuals like us and the chamber, and it's not comfortable, because I said earlier, taking political positions in business is not good. We need direct local, state, national leaders positioned to obtain goals. We need to make clear statements defining community values while not politicizing issues harming individuals, businesses, or industry. Think beyond your personal party positions and beliefs that are enabling community harm. Talk to other community members with whom we disagree about the reality that we have to defend our community as a whole, or it's no longer our community. Look for areas of agreement and build. The community truly is the cure, but only if we defend it from federal overreach,
Okay,
pay for play,
Archie, we gotta cut you
and
off.
short-term national panic.
Thank you.
I am done. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. All right, we have no more time for questions. But I wanted to give a quick, well, first of all, thank you for being here and taking the time out of your schedules. I know you were all very busy. And thank you guys for being here and being involved. I encourage you to go to city council meetings, commissioners meetings, and get involved, because that's how all of this works together. That's how they know what they need to hear from you. And so we appreciate you all being here. Take food, take coffee. Also, there's flyers out there for Snapshot of the Bitterroot Valley, which is tomorrow. The Bitterroot Valley Board of Realtors has opened this up to the public. It is from 8 to 5. They have environmental health, Ravalli County Planner, DNRC, and Representative Terry Nelson will be there tomorrow if you guys are interested. Free and open to the public. Okay, thank you guys for being here.